This is Jeb Blunt, and it's Money Monday on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Say, make money, money, make money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound. I need a Skrilla on the Rilla.
All right. It is Monday, the most important day of the week. Seize today and you set the stage for the week to come, because when you start your week strong, you end your week strong. So stand up, look up, get fired up, because this is it, your moment of truth. It's your opportunity to demonstrate that no matter what is thrown at you, you will still find a way to win. And speaking about finding a way to win, this past week, we lost George Foreman, one of the greatest boxers, salesmen, and personalities the world has ever known. Foreman was a force of nature. Over the course of his life, he gave us a masterclass in resilience, on never giving up. His pivots and comebacks from defeat were legendary, and his inspirational story matters to us because one of the most critical mental disciplines for sales professionals is resilience. Now, the George Foreman that most of us remember, the man with the big charismatic smile selling grills on TV, was a far cry from the young man growing up in poverty in Houston's Fifth Ward, where lunch was often a mayonnaise sandwich. As a teenager, George was angry, he was mean, he was a bully who stole from kids at school and was shoplifting and mugging his way through his neighborhood. He was living on the edge, one arrest away from landing in a jail cell and potentially a life behind bars. Now, one night, he was lying on his face in the stinking mud, hiding from the police, when it hit him like a left hook that he was going nowhere like this. And it was a moment of truth that changed the trajectory of his life. Lying there, covered in filth, he made a promise to himself to change his path. He realized that if he wanted to avoid going nowhere, he had to make a massive mindset shift. So he enrolled in the Job Corps, which is a federal program that helps disadvantaged youth pick up real skills, and soon after discovered boxing. And from that moment on, he replaced petty crime with gloves. He replaced street fights with disciplined training, and he replaced despair with a sense of purpose. This type of mindset shift is exactly what resilience is all about. You see, sometimes you got to face the fact that your old excuses, old habits, and old environment aren't working for you anymore. And when you decide to do something about it, like really decide, you set the stage for everything else that follows. That stinking mud moment is where you get real about your situation. It's where you decide that you've had enough, that it's time to pivot, and you realize that the change you are looking for can only be found inside yourself, because that's where resilience comes from. Once George got serious about boxing, he rocketed to stardom. He won the gold in the 1968 Olympics, and then he tore through the heavyweight division. In one of his most famous fights, he defeated Joe Frazier in just 2 rounds, leading to the iconic moment when Howard Cosell screams,
"Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! The heavyweight champion is taking the mandatory 8 count, and Foreman is as poised as can be."
Foreman was a heavyweight wrecking ball, and he left that fight with Frazier the unstoppable champion of the world. And then Foreman ran into a wall called Muhammad Ali. Millions of people tuned in to watch Foreman and Ali battle it out in what was hyped as the Rumble in the Jungle. Going into the fight, Foreman was the overwhelming favorite, but it was his overconfidence that pulled him into Ali's famous rope-a-dope strategy and led to a crushing and embarrassing defeat. Muhammad Ali knocked Foreman out in the 8th round, shocking the world and pulling off the upset of the century. And Foreman was humiliated on the global stage. In that moment, he went from being the baddest, hardest-hitting man on the planet to an also-ran. And by the way, sales in life can be the same way. You might have soared for months, hitting every single goal, but then the bottom falls out. The real test isn't about whether you can ride success, but whether you can respond to defeat with resilience. The question is, will you pick yourself up and make a comeback, or will you fold up like a cheap lawn chair and quit? After that loss to Ali, Foreman was devastated, but he continued fighting until at the age of 28, he had a near-death experience in Puerto Rico following a loss to Jimmy Young. It was one more lapse into overconfidence in which Foreman failed to prepare for the fight and was taken down by yet another underdog. Following the fight, Foreman collapsed in the locker room, suffering from exhaustion and heat stroke. There, in that pivotal moment, after being revived, he became a born-again Christian and retired from the sport to lead a life as an ordained minister. But sometimes that's what you need, a chance to heal, refocus, and reconnect with what matters. You see, resilience doesn't mean plowing ahead blindly. Sometimes it means taking a step away so you can come back stronger. 20 years after losing to Muhammad Ali, Foreman faced a new challenge. His church was struggling to pay its bills, and he needed money to build a youth center. So at 38 years old, he announced what would become one of the most stunning comebacks in sports history. He was returning to the ring. Now, at his age, he was ancient by boxing standards. People scoffed, critics laughed, fans were skeptical, but George believed that he had another act in him. Now, success didn't come right away. He fought 30 comeback fights and lost titles to Evander Holyfield and Tommy Morrison. But in 1994, Michael Moore accepted a heavyweight championship bout with Foreman, seeing him as a washed-up old man he could easily defeat. 10 rounds into the fight, Foreman, who was wearing the same boxing trunks he had worn when losing to Muhammad Ali 20 years earlier in the Rumble in the Jungle, landed a devastating blow to Moore, knocking him out to reclaim the heavyweight crown. And then George Foreman sank to his knees in the corner of the ring and prayed. He was 46 years old. It was an incredible moment of triumph and redemption that instantly made him a hero to people everywhere. The washed-up old man proved to millions that age is just a number. With hard work, faith, and unwavering perseverance, almost anything is possible. You're never too old or never too washed up. You can adapt, learn new tools, and surprise the doubters. You see, young George Foreman relied on aggressiveness and raw power, but overconfidence was his kryptonite. The older, wiser George Foreman flipped the script on his younger, overconfident opponents and fought smarter, pacing himself and waiting for the right moment to land the knockout punch. George Foreman's 3-decade boxing career ended with an incredible record of 76 wins, only 5 losses, and 68 knockouts. But what is most remarkable is that this is not where the story ends. I'll wrap up with the rest of the story in just a moment. But first, if you're looking to make a pivot to take your game to the next level and unleash your potential, you'll want to download our free goal planning guide. You can get it right now absolutely free at salesgravy.com/goal guide. That's salesgravy.com/goal guide. I also want to send a big shout out to Shannon Ganun for writing this awesome 5-star review on Apple. She writes, "I love this podcast because the short episodes provide actionable insights that you can do right away to improve your business. It's the inspiration I need to call people to get results." Thank you, Shannon, and thank you to everyone who's been dropping 5-star reviews and ratings on Apple and Spotify. You are amazing. Those reviews are so important because they help us move up in the algorithm so that other people can find us. So please, if you haven't already done so, take a few minutes at the end of this episode to give us 5 stars. It truly means the world to us. After regaining the heavyweight title at the age of 46, suddenly, Foreman wasn't just the champ. He was a beloved celebrity. He then leveraged this newfound love and trust, along with his trademark smile, into something that transcended boxing entirely: the George Foreman Grill. An entire generation, many of whom never saw him throw a single punch, came to know and love him for that grill. He was on TV constantly, becoming one of the world's most recognizable people, and he even had a television sitcom. Over 100 million George Foreman grills have sold worldwide, and it still outsells its competitors today. Foreman personally walked away with over $200 million from the endorsement deal, which, by the way, is more than Tiger Woods earned from his deal with Nike. So let that sink in for a moment. George Foreman was a one-time street kid growing up in poverty who hid in muddy filth to escape the police, a man who suffered humiliating defeats on the world stage, who came back at the age of 46 and reclaimed the heavyweight title, and then became a household icon for healthier cooking and a beloved American hero. George Foreman's amazing life is a testament to the unstoppable force of resilience. So if you're lying in your own stinking mud, this could be your moment of truth. You might be one pivot away from your own comeback story, but only you can make the choice to stay face down in the mud or get up, clean up, and jump back into the fight. I'm Jeb Blunt, reminding you that when it's time to go home, always make one more call, because that's how you stay in the fight, and that's how champions are made. Good night, George Foreman. Rest in peace.
Survival of the fittest, you can sink or swim. I've been broke, I ain't never going back again. I need some C-notes, some cheddar, and a stack of ends. I need a bowl of dough, I don't need no Facebook friends. I need a pack of them snaps, a handful of Fetty Wops, and rubber band on my greenbacks. Look, dawg, don't be playing with my paper. I need every red cent, that's why I brought my little scraper. Money, 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 money.